now tuned in.
You are now tuned into
to the realest show on YouTube with your host, the Angryman.
What's going on? What's good with everybody in the building? And we definitely mean that. This is the realest show on YouTube. I don't care what nobody say. Shout out to all the folks out there, all the BINO Nation that's in the building. Y'all know what time it is. We about to get into it. We're going to keep it rolling. Shout out to all the truck drivers out there. Hope we helping y'all get through your the highways and the byways and all that extra shit. Shout out to everybody out there working. If you're out there working, my man said he working overtime. Hope the show help y'all get through them hours. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to Michelle in the building. Michelle said this kind of music takes me back to my early childhood in the garage with my grandpa while he smoked his cigars because my grandma done made him mad. LOL. Yes, ma'am. You feel me? That's what we do. We go to that record collection. You feel what I'm saying? Go to that record collection and listen to that music when they actually was talking about something. See, that's what I came up on. I came up on the music that was actually talking about something, the music that actually had a social commentary. You feel what I'm saying? And here's the funny thing about it. When you go back to those eras, when it comes to that music, it wasn't just black social commentary. It was social commentary across the board. And I think that's something that we need to understand. We need to realize it was American social commentary. Because today we're going to talk about something that needs to be addressed. As you can see from the title, how Trump's presidency changed culture forever. I'm not just talking about black culture, I'm talking about American culture too. But as you can see from the thumbnail, I decided to put a couple of people up there that I got to include in this conversation for various purposes. Now, before we even get into the main topic, let me say something about last night, right? Because I don't know if y'all noticed this or not, right? Shout out to Steve H. He said, what it is. What's going on, fam? Whenever I open up the panel and I have brothers come on to the panel to add their 2 cents, I try to give brothers an opportunity to voice their opinion or to challenge something that I'm saying. You feel what I'm saying? But the only problem with panels, and the reason why I don't really like panels, is because first and foremost, you can't really tell if people come up on the panel because they genuinely want to be part of the discussion, or if people come up on the panel because they clout chasing. You don't really know. You feel what I'm saying? That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that it makes the show longer. It makes the show way longer than it has to be. So if you guys notice, what I usually do when I have a panel like that is after the show is over, I go back and I actually edit out that part of the show. Now, for the fellas that come up here, if you feel some type of way, you're like, why is Angryman editing us out of the show? Well, the reality is, and I hate to tell you guys, but people really don't come to my show to listen to other people talk. They come to my show to listen to me talk. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not even going to front. I thought about something last night because I was in the clouds and I was watching other shows or whatever, right? And there was a couple of shows that I watched. I went over and watched Anton's show. He was over there cooking up. And I don't know if you noticed now, but ever since Anton rebranded that channel from Fight Club, he only has certain people he bring up on the show because he wants somebody that's going to bring value to the show and not derail the conversation and things of that nature, which was a really smart thing to do. And then I watched some other shows that had a full panel of people, some people some people you don't. And I had absolutely no desire to join that panel. I said, you know what? I'm cool over here chopping it up about these topics, kind of staying to myself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to realize something about panels. And I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you have the aspect of people that might be clout chasing. You have the aspect of people that want to be contrarians. And then the worst part is you have the aspect of people that want to come up on YouTube and they want to come on your panel and they want to start conversations about stuff that does not align with what you're talking about. So last night we were talking about Donald Trump, and everything we were talking about was really pro-America. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you're the type of person that you don't like America, you live here, but you can't stand America to the point where you're constantly giving props to other countries while you're simultaneously, taking a dump on the country that you live in, this ain't the channel for you. This is not the channel for you. If you're the type of person that hates capitalism, this is not the channel for you. If you're the type of person that comes over here because you only want to hear a black man talk trash about black women, this is not the channel for you. Okay? If you don't like the fact that occasionally I'm going to go off on a tangent about anime, comic books, movies, music, in other words, a wide diversity of topics, this is not the channel for you. This is the channel for the BINO Nation. This is a channel for like-minded individuals. It's not necessarily an echo chamber, but we want people over here that are thinkers, people that have the ability to think critically. And I'll tell you something else too. If you're a person that want to talk about conspiracy theories and you want to bring up, in clandestine individuals and secret societies and all that, this is not the channel for you, bro. I'm not going to entertain that no more. Because last night, the conversation kept going in certain directions. And after the show was over, I thought about that. I was like, man, my audience didn't come here to hear that BS. You feel what I'm saying? We got to hear about how Trump ain't really a billionaire. We got to hear about, how we're not really citizens of the United States. We got to hear about Drake and how the group of people that's on his mother's side of the family is really in control of this and control. Look, I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. And I'm going to tell you why I don't care about none of that. Because you individuals are always looking for a boogeyman. You're always looking for a boogeyman. And the irony of it is the people that look like you are just as bad as these supposed boogeymen that y'all are always pulling out of your behind. Like, we don't want to hear that, bruh. just as many non-black people as there are in this country and in this world that are in positions of power that do things that you don't like, you have just as many black people that do the same crap. I don't want to hear it no more, man. As I stated last night, I come from Gen X. And we're the first generation to outright reject racism. Outright. Because we're the first generation that was fully integrated. When we went to school, we didn't just go to school with just black folk. We went to school with black folk, Latin folk, Asian folk. We went to school, white folk. We went to school with everybody. And many of us had friends that were of numerous races, not numerous. We have friends of other races, other nationalities, other cultural backgrounds. And guess what? We didn't have a problem with it. And truth be told, the whole concept of racism probably would have died or at least been minimized to the point where it wasn't even relevant anymore if it were not for the boomers who continue to push that BS. Because here's the thing that you got to realize. It's no longer about racism, and it hasn't been for a long freaking time. And some folk are just so socially inept. They have absolutely no situational awareness. They are literally trying to fight a fight that was the silent generations fight. Now, why do black folk in particular continue to try to fight that fight? Because of people that have a vested interest in you believing that that is still an issue. In other words, your Roland Martins, your Mark Lamont Hills, your Joy Reids, your Cornel West. These are the individuals who are self-appointed spokespeople for the average everyday black person. But the only problem with that, and this is what you got to realize, they are not like us and they do not speak for us. They are a bunch of race hustlers. Okay? They want you to continue to believe that racism is just as bad as it was during the Jim Crow era, because quite frankly, that's how they make their damn money. Like, let's just be real about this. Let's just be honest about this, because if you really sit back and think about it, the man that we always talk about just convicted a former president that's white. Now, if that's not proof that this is no longer about racism, I don't know what to tell you. It's funny because they're literally using racism or the perceived existence of it in order to justify utilizing the system against Donald Trump the same way it was utilized against you back in the day. And you're cheering them on as they do it. That's the irony of it. That's the irony. And this is the reason why I don't like Kendrick Lamar anymore. Because he's yet another one that's running around here trying to make it seem like, you know, what Drake said was true. You always rapping like you trying to free the slaves. Like, Negro, we don't want to hear that no more. We don't want to hear it no more. We tired of it. So last night, even though I can appreciate the conversation from some of the fellas, there were points in that conversation where I felt it going in that direction. And I didn't want to be offensive, but I really was feeling like telling Negroes, look, this is not 1964. This ain't even 1985. This ain't even 1994. We are literally in a very different time. Okay? You're trying to fight a war that, quite frankly, no longer exists. This is not about races anymore. This is about class. That's what this is about. This is about the haves and the have-nots. That's all it's about. And the funny thing about it is, these individuals that are speaking for you, the Roland Martins and the Joy Reids and the Mark Lamont Hills and the Cornell Wests and all of these well-to-do college-educated Negroes, they represent the haves. And they are either out of touch, okay? And if you think they not out of touch, just look at Cornell West still running around with that freaking 1960s afro as if, you know, this is still the era of free love. They are either out of touch or, quite frankly, bought and paid for. They do not represent the people. They do not speak for the people. Okay? They don't. This is just a fact. But last night, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, I'm tired of it. I'm not even gonna front. I'm to the point where I don't even care. I don't care if people come over here to watch my channel and they say, oh, Angryman's a coon, Angryman's a sellout. I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. I don't. Because what I've noticed, and it's very difficult to explain, right? But this is what I notice. When it comes to our so-called culture, and this is probably happening with other races of people too. It's probably happening with other races, just in a different way. When it comes to our so-called culture, they are constantly screaming about racism and prejudice and all of these institutional systematic things that are allegedly holding us back. But the only problem is, if you are a thinking person, you would ask yourself, how can two things exist in the same space? How can the well-to-do Negroes, like the Mark Lamont Hills, the Roland Martins, the new Negro bourgeoisie, how can they in one breath constantly complain about racism, prejudice, and all of these different things, that they claim is holding black people back, that they claim is destroying black people, while simultaneously turning a blind eye to the things that black people themselves are doing to hold themselves back and destroy themselves. How can those two things exist at the same time? How do you have this much smoke for Donald Trump, but you don't have any smoke for Sexy Red? You don't have any smoke for Meg Thee Stallion. You don't have any smoke for the gang leaders. You don't have, you know what I saw the other day? And dudes is really gonna hate me for this comment. I saw a video of Snoop Dogg and some other dude in blue khaki suits and Chuck Taylors crip walking to Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. And you know the first thing that popped up in my mind? It's time for gang culture to go away. Period. Point blank, period. It's time for that to go away. Real talk. And I know a lot of people going to dislike me for that, but look, it's time for that to go away. And I don't care where it exists at. I don't care if it's the West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, down South. It's time for it to go away, bro. It's time for it to go away. Stan said it's not going anywhere, AM, but I agree. Well, it you know, whether or not it actually goes somewhere is one thing, but you know, I feel like I've already, you know, met my obligation by actually saying that it needs to. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's one thing that we do as black folk. We sit around and we pretend like it's cool. You know, it is what it is. You feel what I'm saying? We turn a blind eye to everything in our culture that is bad, that doesn't work, that is messed up. And then we have the nerve to sit back and entertain the hypocrisy. We have the nerve to sit back and entertain, you know, T.I. being a activist and talking about, yeah, I speak to the youth and this, that, and the third. Who cares what you say to the youth in your spare time if what you're saying to them in your professional career is that they need to be trap stars and all of that type of crap? And look, I've been part of the culture. And I can tell you right now, a lot of that stuff did not help me in no way, shape, or form. It hindered me. It hindered me. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older now. Maybe it's because I'm a father. Maybe it's because I just see things differently. Maybe it's because I've gained some wisdom. But I can look at all of that crap and I can tell you definitively what it is with no problem. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. All of it. The drug dealing culture, the gang culture, the excuses we make for the ignorance that goes on in our communities. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And the fact that we sit back and ignore all of that while simultaneously pointing our finger at the man is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. E-Truth said, I call them fools, doctor, all three names. They all follow the same template, supporting the show. Appreciate you. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. This idea that we actually celebrate the villains of our community. We celebrate the villains of our community. Y'all realize that? Shout out to Jerome. He said the problem is black people keep paying attention to the colors of the chess pieces and not pay attention to the moves that's being made. That's fact. Shout out to Belfast. B-Mac said, I grew up in one of the worst projects there is. If you want out, you get to work and get out. Yeah. Yeah, but guess what? You get accused of all types of stuff for doing that. You literally get accused of being a scumbag because you work your behind off in order to get away from those type of environments. You know what I'm saying? And it's all I know is this. All I know is this, right? And this is going to sound really harsh when I say it. Red Flintstone said, it's a phase, not a lifestyle. Exactly. And that's the reason why it's BS. You feel me? I'm gonna say this, it's gonna be harsh. Do y'all mind if I say this harsh thing? You feel what I'm saying? So another reason why I edited out the conversation that was had last night, even though some of the brothers had some good points, is because after it was said and done, I felt like that whole conversation, that hours long conversation on the panel, I felt like it took away from my message. I felt like it took away from my message. And the way I felt is we have become our own worst enemy. We have become a tribe of contrarians. See, I think that I was given a gift. And I think that gift is the ability to grab the attention of a lot of people and say the things that other people can relate to and give them some sort of understanding that they're not crazy for thinking what they think, for feeling the way they feel about this abnormal society that we live in today. And that's why people come to my show to hear me speak. And quite frankly, to the fellas, they don't come to hear y'all. They don't come to hear y'all constantly challenge the shit that I'm saying. And the reality is, because the stuff that I'm saying is not foolishness. What I'm saying is on point, whether you agree with it or not. What I'm saying resonates with the people, whether you agree with it or not. And I'm not the typical content creator in these spaces. I don't come up here every day just to talk trash about black women. I don't come up here every day just to talk about drama and foolishness. I don't come up here every day to talk about other YouTubers and the foolishness they got going on. No, I come up here to talk about real topics. I come up here to talk about things that's worthwhile. And people come here to hear that. They don't come here to hear you Negroes come up on, they don't come here to watch you Negroes sit in the chat room and challenge everything I'm saying and then come up here on the freaking panel to challenge everything I'm saying. Because guess what? You're not even challenging what I'm saying for any purpose. You're not challenging what I'm saying because you have some sort of mission or you're trying to get to a solution. You're not doing it for that purpose. You're doing it because that's what niggas do. Whenever somebody is talking and they have the ability to generate a crowd, what happens with you Negroes is you get envious of that person. So what you want to do is you want to stand up there in the spotlight with them and challenge what they're saying on some contrarian shit because you don't want that person to get the attention. You want the attention. And the thing about it is, I'm not even talking because I want attention. I'm talking because this is what I believe in. But you Negroes come up here to challenge what I'm saying simply because you just want to be a contrarian. You see somebody getting attention and you want some of it. And this is the reason why last night I kept asking the same question over and over. The information that you have, what results has that information given you? I never got an answer. I even had one brother come, you had the one brother, and I don't got nothing against the brother. He can believe what he want and think what he want. You feel what I'm saying? But the brother came up here and he's telling me about, well, the truth is this, and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I said, okay, well, what is your results? Then you had another brother that came up here and told me that Donald Trump wasn't a billionaire because he didn't pay, he wasn't able to pay his $450 million bond. And I said, bruh, you don't know what you're talking about. And he said, yes, I do. I have degrees in finance. But then when I ask you, what's your net worth? You don't even have more money than me, but you have degrees in finance. See, at some point as men, we got to stop letting men be full of shit. We got to stop letting men be full of shit. And this especially goes for black men because y'all love to run your mouth about shit, but you rarely have the results to run your mouth. The funny thing about us is we'll sit back and let a Negro that has not accomplished a damn thing run his mouth incessantly about what Negroes should be doing. But the black men who have actually accomplished things, the moment they open their mouth to say something, everybody wants to tell them to shut up. Everybody wants to tell them, oh, you think you better than us because you got money and this, that, and third. We have gotten to the point where we don't want to hear nothing from the people that got results, and we listen to all of the niggas that ain't got no results. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We up here listening to folks talk about what relationships should be and what people should do on dates and how they should operate in relationships, and they not even in relationships. They ain't even married. Ain't even cohabitated with the opposite sex. But the moment somebody that is married, that is in a working relationship, starts talking about what people should do, what's the first thing that come out of their mouth? Oh, you've been married so long, you out of touch. You don't know what it's like out here in the dating world. Telling a person that has been married for a long time that they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to relationships, dating, and all of those different things is like telling a guy that he knows nothing about business simply because he succeeded and has been a millionaire for a long time. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Shout out to JLJ504HD. He said that unspoken Negro contract needs to be torn up, burned, and never to be referenced or acknowledged again. Point blank, end of. Facts. Shout out to Stan. He said, AM, do you think we gravitated to the gang culture because we naturally tribal people? Is that our misguided way of congregating? We gravitate towards the gang culture is because outside of that, we don't have any type of camaraderie. That's why. Outside of that, we don't have any type of camaraderie. Shout out to Arthur, said, I'm glad I caught you live, fam. Keep cooking, bro. Appreciate you. Shout out to the Don. He said, some well-to-do black people try to live up to the negative stereotypes of niggas, but you will never see that in other cultures. Facts. Shout out to Focus. He said, AM, ninjas will, but, and what if a topic to the point of there being no solutions, just a pool of imagination and no actual substance? We don't want results. We want talk. Exactly. Shout out to OG, said, AM, ain't nothing sadder than seeing a 40/50-year-old gang member shaking my head. You got that right. You got that right. It's just as sad as seeing a dude in his 50s standing on a street corner with a brown paper bag, drinking, you know what I'm saying, drinking and hanging out with the young boys. He should be telling the young boys they shouldn't be out there on that corner, but instead he out there with them. We got to stop, man, because guess what? I saw a video last night where a young lady was talking about how there used to be a time where the young women looked up to the older women as their model and, you know, solicited their advice. But she said nowadays it's the older women wanting to be the younger women or wanting to, you know, emulate the younger women. And I got news for you. It's not just the women. It's not just the women, it's the men too. It's the men too. And I'm going to tell you why it happens. Because y'all have allowed the young people to use youth to shame you. You know, the moment they come around and they start talking that, oh, you just don't understand because you are old head. And that old head comment hurts y'all's feelings so much that you then begin the process of trying to operate and move like the younger folks so they will socially accept you. And I'm going to tell you something right now. There ain't no fool worse than an old fool. Okay? I don't care what these young niggas talk about. I don't care what these young niggas do. When they come at me with that old head stuff, I tell them to shut the hell up. Because there ain't a damn thing you can tell me that I don't understand. Nigga, I done forgot more shit than you probably will ever know. And we got to get back to the point where older men actually operate like older men. In other words, you shut that foolishness down the moment it starts. You got every time I went to Fight Club, there was always some young Negroes talking about some, nah, y'all just out of touch. Y'all don't know. No, you young niggas just don't know what the hell you're doing. And the reason why you don't know what you're doing is because you refuse to listen to folks that's already came down the path that you went down. And I'm going to tell you the proof of it. Here's the proof of it. If you really knew what you were doing as younger folk, why aren't you that much further ahead than we are? Because you definitely got more opportunity. You definitely got more available to you. Tell you another thing that proves it. Why is it you're literally the reverse of what we were? You are the exact opposite of what we were. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is for us Gen Xers, we were young with a grown mind. You new niggas are old with a young mind. In other words, when we were 16 and 17, we looked 16 and 17, but mentally, we were adults. You niggas are 16 and 17 looking like adults, but mentally are children. You think I'm lying? Go on social media. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about these millennials and Gen Zs and how they look so old for their age. You know why you look old for your age? Because when you're unwilling to listen to those that came before you, you're going to age before your time. Because you're stressing. And the reason why you're stressing is because you're doing something unnatural. You're trying to reinvent things that have already been invented. You're trying to recreate the world that is already here. See, the thing about us is, as much as we didn't like some of the stuff that the boomers had to say, we still listen to them. I can tell you right now, every single thing, looking in hindsight, I can tell you every single thing that boomers told me that was bullshit, but I can also tell you everything I learned from boomers that wasn't bullshit. And let's not even get started with the silent generation and the greatest generation. We listened to every word they said. We listened to every word they said. And guess what? When they came to us and said, hey, young buck, that's not how you do that. You do it this way. Did we feel some type of way? Hell yeah, we felt some type of way. We didn't like them calling us young buck. We didn't like them making us feel like we didn't know what we was doing. But guess what? We kept our mouth shut. Something y'all don't know how to do. Because guess what? In the moment, we probably felt like they didn't know what they was talking about. But as the old heads used to tell me, keep on living. Keep on living. I'm going to tell you something I tell my sons. because they hard-headed too. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But you know what I tell them? I said, don't worry about it. You gonna learn. You gonna learn. Anything that you didn't learn from me or just refuse to learn from me, trust and believe life is going to teach you. But it's amazing to me. Shout out to Dre. Appreciate you. And see, I'm going to tell you something else too. The Negroes that's in our age bracket, because this is something everybody else ignores too. There's a portion of us that operate like BINOs, as far as how I feel, right? We're the portion that actually listened to the greatest generation, listened to the silent generation, listened to the boomers, even though we didn't agree with them all the time. We are the ones that actually took the wisdom of the older folks and applied it in our lives. But there's a portion of us running around here that ain't got the sense they were born with. There's a portion of us that didn't listen to the older generation. There's a portion of us that are perpetual children. These are the Negroes that come to my channel to argue me down about shit. And it's like once you, if you're capable of changing my mind about this topic, how does that help us? How does it help us? They won't be able to tell you because they don't have no purpose. They don't have no purpose. You feel me? They're just running their mouth because it's something to do. Shout out to Mike. He said, I gotta support. When I was going through one of my hardest moments in life, your vids kept popping up and was helpful. Appreciate you, bro. And I don't mean no harm, but I have gotten to the point where I'm on some David Carroll-ish right now. And maybe it's because I'm older. Maybe it's because I'm older and stubborn. Maybe I'm becoming an old curmudgeon. But moving forward, this is how I plan to operate. I only debate my equals. Everyone else, I teach. And as David Carroll would say, whether you're my equal or not is my determination, not yours. We bring in some of these old rules back. Okay? We bring in some of these old rules back. Here's one rule. If your ass is not as successful or as accomplished as I am, you're not about to sit up here and argue with me. You're not. You're not. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Shout out to Don. He said these youngsters have access to all this information in the palm of their hands and is still dumb as F. You got that right. Because you got people, and the funny thing about it is they don't even realize that they're still operating in childlike energy. Why do I say it's childlike energy? Because if I'm over here talking about something and you come over here and the first thing you want to say is, nuh-uh. And then you want to go back and forth with me. See, that is a sign of you being a child wanting to convince me of something. It's no different than when you got a little kid and you saying something and the little kid wants to convince you that that's not what it is. He's trying to prove that he's just as intelligent as you. I don't got time for that. It's like last night when the brother was talking and he's telling me he's educated. It's like, bro, you can't tell me that you're educated when you're talking more than you're listening. In other words, whenever I go to say something, you're talking over me. People who seek education, people who love to learn, they're not gonna overtalk you when you're saying something. And the whole reason why is because as an educated person, when the other person is talking, you want to hear what they're saying so that you can accurately rebuttal what they're saying. If the other person is talking and you're just talking over them, it means you're not interested in what they have to say. And some people will say, well, Angryman, I've heard you speak over people. Yeah, because I wasn't interested in what they had to say. So you'll probably say, well, wait a minute, Angryman, that's a contradiction. You're going to do the same thing on your show. No, it's not a contradiction, because guess what? If I'm over here giving a lecture, which is what I'm doing, if I'm over here giving a lecture on my show and you come over here and you want to argue with me about something, you're already in a goofy situation, in my personal opinion. Why? Because as a fully grown man, I'm not about to go to a channel where someone is giving a lecture about some shit I don't agree with and watch it just for the purpose of arguing with that person. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in going back and forth with somebody that is saying something that is, you know, when I came to that realization, I saw a video last night. I saw a couple of videos last night. Like, I'm not gonna show the video, but I'm gonna play the sound of the video because I don't even want to give them no shine like that, right? So I came across this video, right? Listen to what this young lady had to say.
See, this is why I really don't like addressing black men, because there is a reoccurring attitude that I am noticing when women, especially black women, address y'all. Black women and black men have went through the same types of oppression. The same stuff. But for some reason, black women are excelling past black men in education and in business and in other areas. Why is this? It's because the average black man has become more lazy than he was a victim. You're no longer just a victim. Now you're a lazy victim. You're talking about white people not wanting you at their jobs. But we all know back in the day, since you want to speak of such, black people had thriving businesses and communities. And our dollar was making rounds in our community. What is stopping black men from doing that today? Black men. You speak of black men being married more back in the day. What's keeping black men from being married more now? Black men. There seems to be an accountability issue. We have to take accountability. I saw in your other comments you're talking about eradicating white supremacy, but you can't do that if you're going to be a victim and be lazy. We got to do better. We have to take accountability, and your own personal decisions will affect your life despite systematic racism. You be well.
Then I came across this video.
Yes. And do you know why that is? Because the way the black community and black women coddle black men is the same way white women have been coddled in society. Because black women always had to work. Black women weren't ever able to just stay home. Black women didn't have nannies. They were the nanny. The black women were working for the white woman. And back in the day, if you looked at a white woman the wrong way, God forbid, Emmett Till, white women have always been treated like little, delicate, angelic, sweet flowers, damsels in distress, while black women, since they're born, are treated like adults and expected to be more mature than their age and take on more responsibility and be stronger than they should be. Even as little girls, black women aren't allowed to actually be a little girl. There's always such high expectations and standards on black women, even when they're little girls, compared to white girls, who are actually usually able to be a little girl. Same as how black men are coddled in the black community due to male worship by the women who coddle the black men. White women are coddled in society. White women are coddled by the white community, but they're mainly coddled by the whole society. And black men are coddled by the black community, while black women are expected to do more than black men and take on more and be responsible for black men as well. Everything is the black woman's fault. The black man never gets accountability, just like the white woman never has to take accountability. White women didn't have to work. They always had a soft life, even though white women are still being abused by males under the patriarchy and always have been abused, just like all of us, because again, women couldn't have a bank account until 1974, and marriage is indentured servitude for women. So white women still were getting raped, and their fathers were still selling them and marrying them at 12, 13 years of age. They're still women and still get treated as such. However, they still have been coddled, where black women have been treated since the day they're born like they're supposed to protect, provide, work. The weight of the world has always been on black women's shoulders. White women and black men are both coddled.
Shout out to DG. So when I came across those videos last night, first of all, it infuriated me. And the reason why it infuriated me, because, you know, it was complete and utter bullshit. Totally inaccurate. And the first thing I thought was, you know what? I need to do a video and I need to address this and I need to put it on the screen and show everybody. And as I was infuriated, and as I thought about putting it on the screen, I asked myself a question. If I went over to a website or a video that was a video of a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and they were saying a bunch of BS and a bunch of lies, would I feel the need to address it? And the answer is no. I would not feel the need to address it. And the reason why I wouldn't feel the need to address it is because anytime someone is perfectly content telling flat out lies. Lies that are fueled by nothing but hatred and anger and frustration from their own situations. There's no point in even dignifying it with a response. Because at the end of the day, that situation is going to fix itself. Now, as far as some of you that say, nah, we got to address it. Let me tell you something. Everything that can possibly be addressed when it comes to foolish ignorance of that kind has already been addressed. Not only has it already been addressed, but in addition to that, the men have taken steps to solve that issue. This is the reason why the marriage rate is so low. This is the reason why you see so many brothers going overseas to explore other options. So guess what? The work is done. And it's already been done. And now I'm at the point where I don't even want to address stupidity like that. The only advice that I can give you men out there is if you hear one of them talking like that, what you need to do when you get a moment is you need to get down on your knees and thank God Almighty that they have become so emboldened that they are literally telling you who the fuck they are before you mess around and end up in a relationship or a marriage with one of these lunatics. Thank God that they are this vocal and they are telling you who they are. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. Shout out to Kish. He said, "What Guan? Just support and appreciate you." That's all you gotta do. Because look, I'm to the point where I don't even want to entertain that no more. Because I'm tired of the ignorance, whether it comes in the male version or the female version. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, bro. Like, I be scrolling through TikTok, and every time I come across one of these man-hating videos, I just be like, man, you know what? Let me just scroll. I want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. It's stupidity. It's stupidity. And here's the other problem. This is what y'all got to realize too. This is what you fellas got to realize too. You're also dealing with emotional vampires. In the sense that the moment you try to argue your point with them, you're still losing in the situation. Because the entire purpose of that foolishness is to get you to engage with them. You don't realize that they are hurting right now for attention. Because a lot of you have checked out. A lot of you have checked out. If you think I'm lying, listen to this right here.
Hey y'all, I got something to say. I'm wondering if anybody else experiences, and now I just left from the store, particularly Whole Foods, no big deal, and there was a young black man that walked through the parking lot. He looked to his left, he looked to his right, and then quickly turned away. To his right was another black woman, and he looked straight at me. Of course, I'm a black woman. And then as I go into the store, I see another black man, and I tend to get this every time I'm in the grocery store. What is the problem with brothers speaking to black women? Now, there was a sister in the store, and she looked me in the eye, and hey, how you doing? How you doing? Another black woman, hey, how you doing? How you doing? But when it comes to black men, they turn their heads so quickly as to think that like every black woman is desperate, or oh, I don't want to say hi, she might think that I'm trying to talk to her. What is up with that? Somebody needs to help me out with that. What is wrong with when you see another black person just to speak, and not because you're not looking me in the eye, but you're looking me in my eye. You're actually looking at me, glancing, and then you turn away. Just say hello. How you doing? Nice to see. Hello, ma'am, or whatever, and just speak. Nobody is desperate for you brothers out there. As a matter of fact, I am well taken. But it is very disrespectful to me, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong or if you experience this. Black men, if you see another black woman in the grocery store, just say hello. That's all you have to do. Nobody wants your phone number. Nobody wants you to date them or marry them. Just say hello. Because I'm pretty sure if you're black, then you got a black mama, a black auntie, a black cousin. I'm hoping that you speak to them. So just acknowledge us as the same. We all family. Just say hello. Nobody wants a marriage proposal, okay? It's okay to say hello to your fellow black women out in public. Whether it's at the park, at the grocery store, at the bank, just say hello. Matter of fact, you don't even have to say hello. Just do a nod, and that'll be good. Now this is just a public announcement from a fellow black woman, okay?
At this point, it's like white noise. At this point, it's like white noise. This is why on my YouTube shorts you see me just making fun of it. And you know what I've realized? You know what I've realized? What I've realized is the reason why I feel the way I feel is because I'm at peace. This is why it doesn't bother me. It's just goofy at this point. It's just goofiness at this point. You feel what I'm saying? It's just goofiness at this point. It's just goofiness at this point. It's not even worth addressing anymore. Because it's literally one of those situations where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because at one point, and I'm pretty sure y'all have seen some of the videos, at one point it was like, there's even videos you'll see of brothers that will be like trying to get a woman's attention, right? And it'd be like, excuse me, miss, excuse me, ma'am. And he's trying to tell her that she dropped her purse or that her tire's flat or something like that, right? And as soon as he says, excuse me, ma'am, I got a man. And so fellas just said, okay, you know what? They've had instances where they've tried to speak to you or try to be cordial, and then you came at them in a very negative way. And so now they're just like, okay, I'm not going to say nothing. And now not saying nothing is a problem. She literally said in the video, it's disrespectful. So it's gotten to the point where the men have checked out. Okay, the men have checked out. They're like, you know what? I'm not engaging because the engagement is not going to be good. And so now what you see online is them constantly talking about us in a negative light because they're trying to get you to engage. This is just like if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're not talking to them, they'll start an argument with you because any engagement beats no engagement. Any attention beats no attention. And see, I'll take it a step further. I've not only checked out from that foolishness, I have checked out from all of the black foolishness. I don't care if it's dudes or women. I'm done. I am done. Because it is not worth your peace of mind to constantly hear people from your supposed culture that never have nothing nice to say. Ever. Shout out to Arthur Eli for the $50 super chat. He said, hey, they blocked all my credit cards from super chat and keep cooking. LOL, the truth will stand. Well, I don't know why they did that, but I appreciate you.
$50 boss up. Stack up and match up.
Let's see, who else do we have? Shout out to Arthur again. He said they blocking your Cash App, fam. I sincerely doubt that. Shout out to the lowly one. He said, sweetheart, you're not my mama. You're not my sister. You're not my aunt. You're a complete stranger. Skin folk ain't kinfolk. But, you know, even more than that, you're not obligated to do anything. You're not obligated to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Royce. He said for the shoe. Shout out to KGY. Shout out to James. He said also feminism has officially replaced racism. Facts. Shout out to Abdul. Shout out to Steve H. Shout out to Tony251. Shout out to Miles. He says, sounds like you're reaching another form, AM. Yeah. I definitely am. I'm definitely reaching a new form. Shout out to Daniel, too. Appreciate you. I'm definitely reaching a new form. Because I'm like, let me tell you something. There's certain conversations, in my humble opinion, that are just over. Those conversations are over. Because at this point, it's certain aspects of it, if you don't get it, okay, if you don't get it, you just don't get it. And you're not gonna get it. Okay? The women that are running around here blaming everything on men. Your biggest problem is that when it's time to blame somebody, you never look in the mirror. For the men that are running around here blaming everything on women, the problem is when it's time to blame someone, you never look in the mirror. You never look in the mirror. And with what just happened yesterday and what we got going on in this country, we got more important stuff to talk about. Shout out to Rashad. Appreciate you. We got more important stuff to talk about. Like real talk, man. And I know there are certain entities in these spaces that's going to be mad at me. You know, I saw last night when I was having the conversation, somebody in the chat room said Angryman is a plant. So now I'm getting accused of being a plant. You know, because you're not allowed to evolve. You're not allowed to improve and be on a different type of time. You're not. And it's really sad. It's really sad. But yeah. Anyway, getting to the main topic. Getting to the main topic. Most people might not realize this. And by the way, if you just came in here, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. All you got to do is hit the 3 dots that's up there. And you can hit the like button, get the likes up, hit the Cash App, and support the show. Like I said earlier, right? Trump's presidency is really, what's the word for it? Trump's presidency is like a it's a monumental moment in history. But not for the reasons that you think. Like I never thought that when he became president, his presidency would have such a significant change on American culture. I didn't realize it, right? But if you're looking at it right now in hindsight, his presidency has revealed certain things that some people don't want to acknowledge, but it's kind of hard to ignore it, right? So there's a few things that his presidency proves definitively, right? One, it proves that regardless of what it may have been back in the day, today the issue is not racism. Because if the issue was racism, he wouldn't be having these issues. Because he is most certainly a white guy. He is most certainly part of the elite. So we now know that this is more about agendas and class than anything else. That's one thing. The other thing is, as much as they try to claim that he is a divisive force, that he's the force that's going to divide people or divide the country or all of that crap, he's actually unifying the country right now as we speak. He's actually unifying the country. Why is that? Because when you look at rural white America, they feel just as disenfranchised and a sense of betrayal from the system as black people have always felt. So his situation is literally causing the viewpoints of two demographics that up to this point have really been opposites. It's causing two demographics to align as far as how they feel about him, as far as how they feel about the country, as far as what they feel about the government. And I'm telling you right now, I never thought that would happen. Shout out to Luke Hazley. I never thought that would happen, right? And shout out to Spencer for being a sponsor. He said, great show, appreciate you. I never thought that would happen. But the other thing that it revealed that hits a little closer to home.
$50 boss up. Stack up and match up.
The other thing that it reveals that hits a little closer to home is that his presidency has shone a light on Black culture that can't be ignored. It's almost like you have an old house that is run down, needs to be condemned, but you can't really tell because it's perpetually dark in that area. And then one day, light just shines on it and you can see how dirty it is. Now, what dirt am I talking about? The dirt that I'm talking about is no one is asking a very important question about this entire situation. But if you ask that question, it shows you the BS. It shows you the dirt. The question is simple. When Trump was in office, he did a lot of things that benefited America, but he also did a lot of things that benefited Black people. So why are there so many Black thought leaders that hate his guts? The same Black thought leaders that had nothing to say about the man before he became president. I need y'all to really think about that. Shout out to Luke Cage. I need y'all to really think about that. Why is it, and it's almost like a given. It's almost like a given. It's certain people that are very outspoken for Black people. And I put a few of them up on the thumbnail. You got your Joy Reid. You got your Mark Lamont Hill. You got your Cornel West. You got your Roland Martins. And all the other individuals that are in the media that claim to speak for Black people, that claim to speak to the struggle or the issues of the Black community. Right? It is a given that they don't like Trump. And every time I see them get on TV and say what they have to say about Trump, you know the first thing that pops up in my head? The first thing that pops up in my head is when that person back in a while back took all of those news shows from different areas and put them all together on one video, and all of the reporters were saying the same thing in unison, as if it was a script. There are so many black people that are supposed to be our thought leaders, that are supposed to be our talking heads, that are supposed to be the voices of the black community, that seem to be reading from the same damn script. And this is what makes it worse when you really think about it. Right now, as we speak, Trump is the first president in a long time, I would say over half a century, to get this level of support from non-white minority groups. So the question then becomes, if every time you put a microphone in the face of a black person and you ask them, so what do you think about Trump? And they say, I like him, I'm voting for him. Every time you put a microphone in the face of somebody black and you say, what do you think about all of these trials and these charges? And they say, I think Trump's being railroaded. I think they're doing him wrong. If every time you put a mic in front of somebody black and they say, I don't care if he's a felon, I'm still going to vote for him. How in the fuck are the Joy Reids and the Roland Martins and the Mark Lamont Hills, how are they the voice of black people if they're still talking shit about him? Because at this point, it's clear that you are not a representation of the people. You're not speaking for the people, because what the people are saying contradicts what you're saying. Am I wrong? Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder, are those really your opinions? I'm going to tell you when I was done. I'm going to tell you when I was done. On Method Man's sophomore album, he had a skit where Donald Trump was on his album. In fact, let me see if I can find it. Here it is right here. Listen to this.
Hey, Method Man, this is Donald Trump, and I'm in Palm Beach, and we're all waiting for your album. Let's get going, man. Everybody's waiting for this album.
End of message.
What? Why would Method Man put that on his album? Why would Method Man put that on his album? Why would Method Man put that on his album? Now, if you saw the verses, where Method Man and Redman was performing, there's a moment where he stops and he does this thing where it's supposed to be Donald Trump calling, and he hangs up. Ain't nobody trying to hear nothing he got to say. But you put him on your album. Before he was president, you literally put him on your album. You wanted everybody to know that you was cool with Donald Trump. What did he do to you between then to now? And keep in mind, Method Man's album came out after the Central Park 5. So I know that wasn't what it was. That particular album, which I think is Judgment Day, that album came out in 98. When was the Central Park 5? The Central Park 5, that happened back in 89. That album, did you have Donald Trump on your album, came out in 98. Literally 10 years later. When I saw him do that on the verses, I said to myself, I said, bro, who are you doing that for? Because either one of two things is true. Either somebody put you up to do that, which I can't respect it, or you decided to do it because you looked around the room and realized that the popular thing now is to not like Donald Trump, and you did it for that purpose, which, guess what? I can't respect that either. Shout out to Jerome. He said they are Negro Wranglers, bruh. Appreciate it. Shout out to High Tolerance. He said folks have selective memory, AM. Trump pandemic era created a discomfort that birthed black entrepreneurs rather than BP, black people looking for usual handouts. Shout out to Jay-Z3. He said Trump's First Step Act released over 4,500 people from prison, with over 95% of them being black, and Joe Biden's crime bill put millions of blacks in prison. This election should be a no-brainer for black people. Shout out to Jerome. He said he was part of the culture at one point. He's still part of the culture. And if he wasn't part of the culture, why is it if you go on TikTok right now, there are dozens of people putting out shirts, right? I'm gonna show you something. Let's see if I find it. How many of you guys have seen the Donald Trump shirts where Donald Trump got gold teeth and he hanging out in the hood? How many of y'all seen those shirts? He's still part of the culture. He never stopped being part of the culture. Like, he never stopped being part of the culture. Shout out to Jay-Z3 said, Trump has always been a part of black culture. Too many black people allowed themselves to be brainwashed by total propaganda. Joy Reid can't have blacks thinking for themselves. And that's what I mean right there. That's what I mean right there. Like, this situation has shown a light on black culture that just can't be ignored. It can't be ignored. And it's scary. It's scary. What Trump's presidency has proven, specifically about Black America, is that the people that are supposed to be our thought leaders, the people that are supposed to speak for us, they think we don't have the ability to think for ourselves. And if you really want to be honest, the thing that it points out more than anything is that black folk that are in prominent positions have become fascist bullies. We just witnessed it with the K-Dot versus Drake thing. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Because the powers that be want K-Dot to be the winner, they have been running around the internet attempting to bully anybody that doesn't agree with them. And it's the same thing with the Trump situation. Like, I saw an article on Media Takeout, and this is the title of the article. DJ academics dragged for doubling down on Trump support. DJ academics dragged for doubling down on Trump support. This is another reason why I have checked out from the culture. Because guess what? The same people in black culture that are in these higher positions, you know, the black faces in high places, those individuals are the ones that want you to not like Trump. Those are the individuals that wanted you to support Black Lives Matter. Those are the individuals that want you to believe that George Floyd was a hero. Those are the individuals that want you to believe that Candace Owens is a lunatic and doesn't know what she's talking about. But they're also the individuals that ignore gang violence. They're also the individuals that want to make excuses for Black folk that engage in some of the most horrific things in Black communities. They want you to ignore it. Those are the same folks that want you to believe that K-Dot won the back and forth between Drake for no other reason than the fact that K-Dot is running around here acting like he's the new Malcolm X. Shucking and jiving and tap dancing and acting like he's the male version of Harriet Tubman. It's the same people that have no problem with countless Black women getting online and talking about Black men like a dog. It's the same people that perpetuate stereotypical lies and propaganda about Black men. That we're extremely violent, that we're unaliving women every 4 hours, that we don't take care of our children. That seem to always exclude us from the conversation unless they're saying something negative. Now, if you get your behind up there and you say something about Black women in a critical way, oh, you dead wrong. And it's going to be a bunch of folks right there to tell you to shut up and go somewhere and sit down. Both male and female going to tell you to shut up and go somewhere and sit down. But when they get up there and start talking about Black men, they sitting back, you know, stroking they freaking chin. Well, you know, it's true. You know, Black men do need to get it together. And they've been telling this same fucking lie over 50 goddamn years, and they act like it does not contribute to non-Black people viewing us a certain way. This is the reason why when you're driving down the street and you get pulled over and it just happens to be a white cop, you got to wonder what he's thinking about you. Because the only experience he has with you is what he hears in media. Shout out to Jane. And my question is, how am I, as a Black person, supposed to support something that destroys my image? How? How? And I'm gonna tell you something right now. If you are a Black man and you cannot identify with Trump, you must be blind. Because the same way they have went out of their way to destroy his image, to talk about him like a dog and vilify him simply because he is a man that is willing to say what is on his mind. The way they are dragging him through this system, the way they are hitting him with countless indictments and trumped up charges because they don't like him. How can you, as a Black man, sit back and watch that man get the Black male treatment and not be able to identify with it? Really insulting when you think about it. Oh, Trump is not going along with what we want to do, so let's treat him like a nigga. See, that's the quiet part nobody wants to say out loud. I'll say it. I'll say it. And for you brothers out there that don't see it that way, for you brothers out there that's running around talking about, oh, he racist, or like last night, homeboy up here talking about he ain't no billionaire. Dude, when I told you last night, because I know you're probably watching, when I told you last night your problem is you watch too much news, you're not going to sit here and tell me that it ain't true. Because prior to all the negative media coverage that they have given Trump, your black ass didn't have nothing to say about him. Now all of a sudden he's the devil. Now all of a sudden he's a supervillain. He's the worst thing you ever seen. And you're like, oh, well, the reason why I don't like Trump is because he's a racist. There's presidents that presided over the Jim Crow era that you don't have this much smoke for. When George Washington was president, black folks were slaves. I haven't seen not now one of you Negroes stand up in a classroom and snap the fuck out because they was talking about George Washington. I'm going to say that one part again because you need to hear it again. There are presidents that presided over the Jim Crow era that you don't have this much smoke for. And I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me what the hell did Trump do to black people while he was president. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me. And you know what's so funny about it? What's so funny about it is you got so much smoke for Trump, but you literally ignore everything that Joe Biden does. I done watched Joe Biden give speeches, and every time he says anything in reference to a black man, grown men, he refers to him as boy. And y'all are silent. Cornel West, where you at, bruh? Mark Lamont Hill, where you at, bruh? Joy Reid, where you at? Roland Martin, where you at? Why are y'all quiet when Joe Biden is standing up there at that podium referring to grown black men as boy? Where you at? It is disgusting the way these well-to-do Negroes have weaponized racial discrimination. And I have a question for all of you. I got a question for all of you. If racism is still such a huge problem, why is it the only thing that is necessary to cancel a white man's career is for him to be accused of racism? If we still lived in a world that was racist the way it was during Jim Crow, would you be able to cancel anybody's career because they made a racist comment or because they were accused of being racist? Would you even be able to do that? Shout out to Belfast. B-Mac said, Biden referred to the black community as those people. What the F? Yeah, of course. He can't help it. He can't help it. He's used to talking like that. He's used to talking like that. Now, some people are going to say, oh, Angry Man, you making an excuse for him? No, I'm not making no excuse for him. I'm merely telling you the truth. He talks like that because he's talked like that his entire fucking life. And you Negroes elected him. You went out there and elected him. Shout out to JZ3. He said, that's how you know Joy Reid and the rest of them are told to peddle propaganda to black people so they can keep us uninformed. Joy Reid and the gang are basically house Negroes. That's exactly what they are. It's exactly what they are. It's exactly what they are. Yo, if you're just coming in here, hit the Cash App and support the show. It is greatly appreciated. Shout out to Javon. Appreciate you. Shout out to Derek's. Appreciate you.
$50 boss up. Stack up and match up.
Shout out to Zero Fallout. He said, God of Civil War, Boy Edition. If you don't vote for me, you are not black. Yep. Shout out to Eskimo. Appreciate you. But see, here's the funny thing. The funny thing is he said that directly to Charlemagne, and that Negro sits up there and tries to pretend like it wasn't said. He sits up there, and you know what? This is the funny thing. The funny thing about it is some of these individuals, like a Charlemagne, are willing to have debates with people that will give legitimate pushback. So he'll have a discussion with Candace Owen. He'll have a discussion with Larry Elder, right? And so now, you know what these Negroes are doing? Because it's to the point where they cannot deny the dumpster fire that the Biden administration has been. So you know what they say now? Well, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden, but I'm definitely not voting for Trump. Like, what? And it's the same thing. When it's a Democrat that they like, they'll say, well, I'm voting for this person because they like the Democrat. When they don't like the Democrat, they'll say, well, I'm not voting for nobody because they're they're both corrupt. So either they're both wrong or the Republican is wrong. There's never a situation where the Republican is right and the Democrat is wrong. And if you look at our community, I guess it's accurate that red is a representation of the Republican Party and blue is a representation of the Democratic Party. Because if you really look at it, if you wonder why there are so many men that are leaning towards the Republican Party, but the women ain't budging, there's a reason why. Because if you had to assign a gender to either one of those parties, the Republicans would be the male party and the Democrats would be the female party because they're treated like that. In the sense that it's either the Republicans' fault or it's the Democrat and the Republicans' fault. But it's never the Democrats' fault by themselves. The Democratic Party is the party of no accountability. And I'll tell you something else. This K-Dot and Drake situation and this Trump situation and this Democrat and Republican situation, it has shown me what a lot of you black men are really about. And I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it. You see, there's certain things in life. The beautiful thing about truth is there are certain moments in life where the truth cannot be hidden. There are certain moments in life where a lie is unable to exist. See, a lie is like clouds. The truth is like the sun. At some point, it's going to shine through. At some point, we're going to get a clear sky and we're going to be able to see what it really is. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of you brothers have shown who the fuck you really are. You're a bunch of Negroes who do not think for yourselves. But I always knew it. I knew it in the back of my mind. I knew it in the back of my mind. You ever see us up here talking on panels and stuff like that? And you know, we'll be having these conversations and some of the guys be talking, the stuff they be saying be real shaky. You be like, it's real shaky, real flimsy in their opinions. See, some niggas ignore that shit because they want the support. You know, they don't want to start no static. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to Abdul, said, oh my goodness, I had to donate after that eye opener. Shout out to you, AM. Appreciate you. You know, this is real shaky, real flimsy. Real flimsy, just see what the K-Dot situation showed me is that all somebody has to do is pretend to be some sort of race champion. All they have to do is pretend to be some sort of pro-black savior and accuse the other person of being racist, and you niggas just dance to that beat as soon as they start playing the beat. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. That's all they gotta do. To be a group that has complained for centuries about racism, to be a group that has complained about prejudice for centuries. All someone has to do is present you with they're not us, so fuck them, and you buy into it hook, line, and sinker. Which raises the question, how are you mad at non-black people of the past when you are literally doing the same thing? You have the same mentality. Which lets me know you don't have a problem with racism. You don't have a problem with prejudice. You don't have a problem with bigotry. You just have a problem with the position you're in when it's going on. And I would argue that if you're at the top of that scenario, you don't care. Shout out to the lowly one, said, and notice that Charlemagne has interviewed everyone except 45 himself. Heck, he even got sunned by Kamala. Shaking my head. Yep. Shout out to Jessica for the membership. Shout out to Jay-Z3, said, if Drake pandered to black people and race hustle like K-Dot does, then everyone would have said Drake won. Because how do these same people cape for Amanda Seals and Sean King, but got a problem with Drake? You tell me, bruh. You tell me. Matter of fact, no, I can give you the answer to that. It's a very simple answer, especially with somebody like Amanda Seals. The reason why they don't have the same problem with Amanda Seals that they have with Drake is the same reason they don't have a problem with J. Cole. Because them light-skinned Negroes stay in their place. That's why. That's why. They stay in their place. Which is funny because those type of Negroes, it doesn't matter who's in charge and it doesn't matter whose plantation it is. They always the house nigga. They went from being the house Negro for non-black people to being the house Negro for dark-skinned black people. Same BS. The same BS. It's the same BS. It hasn't changed. It hasn't that hasn't changed. The pieces on the board has just been moved around. Yo, if you just coming in here, hit the like button, hit the Cash App and support the show. I know it's too much truth being spoken. It's too much truth being spoken in this discussion. Yeah, I ain't nobody's house Negro. I ain't nobody's house need to grow. I don't scratch my head unless it itches. And I don't dance unless I hear music. And sometimes I don't even dance then. I think for myself. And I'm not going to go along with a narrative just because the other however many millions of black folks decide that's what the narrative is. No. I don't care how many times that Negro has put a damn crown of thorns on his head. I don't care how many times he's made proclamations about we gonna be all right. I don't care how many times he's referred to himself as Kunta Kinte. I don't give a damn what he says he does for the community. And I don't care how catchy the song is. That nigga's full of shit. I don't care how many times he sits down to be interviewed with the likes of Cardi B and every other Negro that you look up to. I don't care if they invited Glorilla to the White House. That dude is full of shit. I don't care. You can get mad. You don't gotta agree with my opinion. But guess what? The machinations of the angry man do not require your approval. In fact, the world doesn't even require your approval. The world believes that you are a mindless lemming. So to come into my chat room and think that your protests hold any weight with me would mean that I would have to acknowledge that your plebeian protest holds any weight at all. It doesn't. You've already proven yourselves not to be thinkers. You've already proven yourselves to be sheep. Those of you that don't like what I'm saying. If the overall society doesn't respect your opinion, why the fuck do you think I should? And you know who you are. You know who you are. Daisy said K-Dot is no different than Joy Reid. Facts. Over there preaching morality. And he's a blood. I'm gonna say that again. over there preaching morality, and he's a blood. Anwar said, remember when LeBron got his king tattoo in high school and people still big mad about his self-proclamation, but K-Dot imitates Kunta / Jesus, he gets a pass. Shout out to Zero Fallout, said Democratic fish fry, start dancing, carry hot sauce, and play some instruments. Gets them every time, AM. Hook, line, and sinker. Somebody answer that question for me, though. How can you preach morality to anybody and tell someone that they're a sick man and tell them they need to grow up and stop behaving like a child, but you're part of a gang? Somebody answer that question for me. Can someone answer that question for me? I would love to get an answer. It's audacity. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Thomas Shelby got into that argument with Alfie. Listen to this.
This review. Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Shelby. It's lovely doing business with you.
You left the name off the list, Alfie.
Did I?
Yeah. I've already spoken to my people in the jewellery quarter, experienced dealers. They tell me there are only 3 men in Britain whose wives are obsessed with Fabergé, makes them good customers. You, Mr. Rich, just went off the list.
Yeah, well, if you knew already, how come you dragged me all the way out in a fucking hoggid, mate?
2 reasons. Reason 1. Well,
And this is one of the realest scenes in television that I've ever seen.
withholding a name that you most certainly know. You've proven to me that you've done a deal with the Oddfellows. It was you who told them about the tunnel. You who told them about the fucking deal with the Soviets. Reason 2, the name of the man that you're withholding must be my enemy, otherwise you wouldn't be protecting him. He's now a man I can use.
Listen, sweetie, you can't take a man.
I gave information in exchange for a share.
Oh, he told me there were things in that treasury, right? God himself, she spoke to me and he said, Alfie, you were meant to have these things.
You crossed the line, Alfie.
You fucking
You crossed the line.
The line? They're using my boy!
Did you fucking know?
Yeah, I knew, you know, but damned as I am, made no fucking difference to me, mate. Fuck, you don't to it. Oh, crying out loud. The fuck is going on? What's the matter with you, Tommy, eh? Hey? You gone fucking angry, ain't you? You got fucking angry! Fucking angry! This bastard deserves it! He's not! He's fucking your fucking egg! This bastard deserves it! I fucking know! But if you kill him now, the truce with the London outfits will be blown to fucking pieces, all right? Don't worry about that truth, kid, right? Because it's just, it fell apart, all right? is you've got nothing to worry about when it comes to the old scary London boys. What fucking side do you want out of? Give a fuck right now, kid. Right? I do not want him to spare me because of some fucking peace pact. I want him to acknowledge that his anger is unfucking justified. I want him to acknowledge that he who fights by the sword, he fucking dies by it, Tommy. So they took your boy, did they? Huh? You got your boy. And what fucking line am I supposed to have crossed? How many fathers, right? How many sons, yeah? Have you cut, killed, murdered, fucking butchered, innocent and guilty to send them straight to fucking hell, ain't you? Just like me! You fucking stand there. You, judging me, stand there and talk to me about crossing some fucking line. If you pull that trigger, right, you pull that trigger for a fucking honourable reason. Like an honourable man, not like some fucking civilian that does not understand the wicked way of our world, mate.
Look, Tommy. The killing of
But if you pull that trigger, you pull it for an honorable reason. Not like some civilian who doesn't understand the ways of the wicked world we live in. See, the moment that K-Dot decided to go at Drake on some morality shit, that was the moment he lost me. That was the moment he lost me, and that was the moment that he lost the battle, in my fucking opinion. But see, I don't expect the rest of these individuals today to agree with what I'm saying because they're not men. They're a bunch of gossiping, chatty patties. I live in a man's world. And I will be damned if I sit back and listen to a nigga from Compton who is a Piru blood give a lecture to somebody else about morality. I literally had dudes come up on my panel and said, well, the reason why I don't like Drake is because he's screwing everybody's woman. How the hell did he screw a woman that didn't want to be screwed? Somebody answer that question for me. How does he have sex with a woman unless that woman chose to have sex with him? You literally got grown men who themselves are womenizers. They can't keep their Johnson in their pocket to save their life. But they're pointing at Drake saying, you sleeping with all the women. Is it really the problem that they slept, that he's a womanizer? Or is it the problem that he's able to sleep with more women than you? What's really the problem? Are you mad that he violated some manhood code of friendship because he slept with a woman you were sleeping with? Or are you just hurt because your ego was so big that you thought somebody who's soft, who ain't part of the culture, was able to take a chick from your ass? And I know y'all feel like this ain't part of the topic, but I got to talk about it because I am so sick of the hypocrisy of the black community. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. These Negroes will get angry at the police for shooting little Junebug and be marching and talking about how they need justice. Meanwhile, little Junebug been terrorizing the community since he came off the porch. Little Junebug done gunned down at least 5 people. Guess what? I come from an era where it works like this. If somebody robs me and I have a history of robbing people, I ain't got but 2 choices. I can either 1, charge that shit to the game, or 2, rob the nigga back. But you know what I can't do? I can't run around here talking about how it's wrong that he robbed me. I can't run around here talking about, you know, a nigga in the hood, terrorizing the hood, slanging all kinds of narcotics, shooting at people, stabbing people, beating people up. But then the moment this shit happened to me, now I want to talk about how messed up the neighborhood is. Like, are we serious right now? You cannot proclaim yourself to be a positive force in your community that is bent on doing righteous things while simultaneously being affiliated with a group that is destroying said community. You can't. You can't do it. It's just like the conversation I had with a couple of individuals that came up here on the show. I think it might have been Israel and it was Izzy Bands and Ali. And I told them, I said, well, look, let's be honest about it. I said, you cannot poison the well that you have to drink from later and then be mad that the well is poisoned. And it's like, what do you mean by that? You can't be out here whoremongering in your late teens through your 20s into your 30s, and then once you decide to settle down, start complaining about the fact that the community is filled with whores. Now, they got upset with me because they said, come on, Angry Man, you know back in the day you engaged in that activity. I sure did. And I was wrong. And you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to sit up here and justify the shit just because I did it. I'm going to point it out for what it was. Wrong. Wrong. But see, if you notice, whenever they start talking about women, whenever any of these guys start talking about women having too many bodies, women having children with dudes out of wedlock, and you say, well, the solution is to teach these women from a young age up not to be having sex with nobody they ain't married to. As soon as you say that, these Negroes will jump out the window and be like, come on, man, that's taking it too far. Why? Why is it taking it too far? It's either a problem or it isn't. Which one is it? It's either a problem or it isn't a problem. If it's a problem, it needs to stop. If it isn't a problem, you can't complain about it. It's like, oh, I'm in my 20s and I want to smash as many chicks as I can, so the chicks need to be loose. Oh, I'm 40 now. I want a good woman. The women need to stop being loose now. What? What? You cannot expect to hold the women to a standard that you yourself are not willing to uphold. The same way you cannot expect your community to adhere to a standard that you are not willing to uphold. That is literally what male leadership is about. This is the reason why the women are saying the men aren't leaders. Because if the men wanted the women to be chaste, in other words, pure, in other words, not engaging in sex, then guess what? As a man, you would not want to have sex with them, even if they were standing in front of you naked, offering it to you. Now, the first response to that and the first rebuttal is, come on, angry man, you know that's not the way it is, and you know we can't do that. Can't or won't. Can't or won't. Can't or won't. All I'm saying is this. If you're running around on demon time, you can't complain when you take a moment to pause and look around and realize you're in hell. I'm going to say that again. If you're running around here on demon time, and one day you decide to pause and look around, you can't complain if the only thing you see is hell, because you contributed to it. You contributed to it. Shout out to K. Dot shout out to Jerome. He said K-Dot needs to denounce gang culture, then I might be impressed. And that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. You know why it ain't gonna happen? Because then he'd be putting himself in danger. Which is the main reason why you know he ain't Malcolm X. Which is the main reason why you know he ain't the activist he claims he is. Because a true activist is gonna do what's right, regardless of the danger. You have absolutely no idea how many dudes are probably furious with me right now. But I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, this is the reality. The reality is you have to be the change that you want to see. When the dudes say, oh, well, we can't settle down because the women are unruly and this, that, and the third. It's almost like you're just accepting it. Since the women are unruly, then fuck it, we just gonna operate on their type of time. No. No. Who gives a damn what they're doing? Really, at the end of the day, who cares what they're doing? As a man, you have to figure out what your path is, and you have to move according to that. You cannot base your actions on the foolishness that everybody else is engaged in. Because if you're doing that, then you're not a leader. You're a follower. So if you feel that these women out here shouldn't be as loose as they are, then guess what? You shouldn't be partaking of loose women. See, I don't care where you go on YouTube. I don't care what channels you look at. You're not going to hear these type of conversations. And the reason why is because this type of conversation actually requires something. See, this ain't just talk. This type of conversation requires you to actually say, okay, you know what? There's the solution. Am I gonna do it? Here's the solution. Am I willing to do it? Am I willing to operate this way? Am I willing to be the change that I want to see? And most people are not. That's the lie within all of the conversations. The lie is that they are seeking solutions, because the problem has a solution. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. You know what the solution is to all of this foolishness when it comes to the whole relationship shit? The solution is women need to close their fucking legs and behave like ladies. And the men need to stop trying to screw all of the women and be honorable gentlemen. That's the solution. That's the solution. But the reason why it'll never happen is because the women like having their legs open and they like screwing. And the men like to screw the women and they love for the women to have their legs open. That's the reason why it'll never get solved. And all you have online is two groups, male and female, that are both full of shit, pretending like they want to solve the problem when really they don't give a damn about the problem. They like partaking in it, but they also get pleasure out of blaming the other side for why it's so screwed up. It's like the nigga that comes out to the group and complains about folks eating too many sweets, but behind closed doors, this nigga eating cupcakes and shit. And see, for me, look, there used to be a time where I thought I had average intelligence. I am no longer under that illusion. It's just like the conversation last night where the dude was trying to tell me that the paper money has no value because it's not backed by gold anymore. And I'm like, bro, why does gold have value? Come on, Angry Man, you know why? Because it's rare, because it's like, I hate stupid conversations. And I'm starting to realize that the conversations that I believe to be stupid, most people don't think are stupid. See, when that type of conversation comes up, my mind immediately goes to, do you have any idea how ridiculous it is to complain about the fact that paper money doesn't have a value? The shit that has value only has value because we give it value. We decided that gold was valuable. We decided. It's not like God came out of the sky and said, gold is valuable, diamonds are valuable, and that's it. And then you came up with paper money that's backed up by gold because God said it was valuable. So that's a definitive answer. No, nigga. The same way that you claim money is valuable, humans claim that it's valuable or put value on it. We're the same ones that put value on money. This is not complicated for me. This is elementary. You have no idea how frustrating it is to be a Sigma living in a world full of morons. You see a living room with a couch, a coffee table, and a TV. I see numbers. I see code. Like the most ridiculous scene in The Matrix to me was the scene when they were going to go blow up the building. And they come in there with a briefcase that has a bomb in it, and they're putting it together and shit. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, these motherfuckers are literally in an imaginary world putting together an imaginary bomb to blow up an imaginary building. This is the whole reason why Neo could fly in the motherfucking Matrix. If he would have took it to the next level, he wouldn't have had to blow up the building. He literally could have pushed it over with his hand. Because the shit ain't real. The shit ain't real. So for a nigga to sit here and have an argument with me about the value of paper money because it's not backed by the value of a rock that you got out of the fucking ground is the dumbest conversation I've ever had in my life. And then to sit there in the conversation and say, well, you just don't like that I'm telling the truth because I'm intelligent. You're not. You're not intelligent. Know why you're not intelligent? Because you think you found a cheat code in a goddamn game that you didn't invent. You think you found a cheat code in a game you didn't invent. And it's not even a game in the sense of a game cartridge where they already invented the game and the game just is what it is and you find a loophole. No, the game that we're in is like computer software. It's constantly being updated. So what the hell do you think is gonna happen when your goofy ass find a cheat code and then you get on the internet and tell everybody the cheat code? What they're gonna do is they're gonna fix that fucking loophole. Dummy. Am I the only one that understands this? Am I the only one that understands this? When I was younger and I got tired of bullshit jobs that wasn't paying enough money. So you know what? I got to get a better job. So I looked and I was always interested in computers. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to school for networking, security, and administration. And for those of you that don't know, that's the guy that works at a company where his entire job is to monitor the company network to make sure people aren't hacking into the system and shit, right? So in that job, what you do is you're on call 24/7. And your regular job is to constantly check to make sure there are no weaknesses in the network, to make sure there are no weaknesses in the system. If companies do that, what the fuck do you think this country does? Nothing is more hilarious to me than the Hotep, New Age, off the grid Negroes that come in here talking about, I found the key. I know what it is. All you gotta do is this and this because you know your social security card is this and you know that your birth certificate and you have to be this and have to be. Nigga. Let me tell you something. If you found something that gave you the ability to step outside of the matrix and then have some sort of mastery over the matrix, they would have kicked in your fucking door a long time ago, you moron. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Shout out to Jay. He said Trump is winning 2024. Screw Biden. Shout out to Belfast BMAC. He said that we created. Shout out to Hollow Ninja. Said keep speaking these facts on the Infinite AM. Also, I pray for this country in the next 4 years. We as a people have to stand up to the new world order. Appreciate you. Fear no mortal said they know it all but don't know a thing. And that's the other thing, right? How do you have all of this information and this understanding and still be fucked up in the game? How? Fear no mortal said you are speaking words of wisdom that men and women need to reflect on. Appreciate you. I'm gonna tell you when you know somebody finds a loophole, right? You know how you know when somebody finds a loophole? Remember when that Reddit group did what they did with the GameStop stock? They found a loophole. And what happened after they found that loophole? They fixed it, right? They fixed it, right? See, when somebody finds a loophole or whatever, right? There's going to be a benefit from it. There's going to be a benefit from it. And depending on the size of that benefit, somebody's going to say, well, hold up. We can't have everybody doing that shit. Close the loop. You fix it. See, the problem is you keep trying to find cheat codes. You keep trying to find loopholes. And I know, because I spent the first part of my adult life trying to find loopholes. And I'm smarter than a lot of you niggas. And you know what I figured out? I figured out that the game is sold up. I figured out that the amount of time that you spend, the amount of mental energy that you utilize trying to find a loophole, if you just took that same effort, that same mental energy, and applied it to playing and winning the game, you'd be so much further in life. That's what I figured out. Instead of trying to find a loophole or some sort of cheat code, just get good at the game. See, niggas don't want to do that. That requires work. That requires effort. That requires diligence. You want the cheat code. You want to put in up, down, left, right, BA start. You want to be able to get the 100 lives on Contra so that you can run through the whole fucking game without having to worry about losing. And that's the whole reason why I said it doesn't matter where you Negroes go to. It doesn't matter if you leave this country and go live somewhere else. You're still gonna do the same thing, because no matter where you go, there you are. You're still gonna try to find cheat codes. Hell, leaving the country is a cheat code. What was the first thing the Negro said? When I said America's the best place to live, he said, well, that depends, because if I go to Venezuela, my American money is going to triple. Again, a fucking cheat code. A damn cheat code. And that same Negro, just to show you what I mean about intelligence and education, that same Negro that argued me down that another country would be better because his American dollars would multiply is the same one that told me the American dollar wasn't worth shit and that it was on the decline. So how the hell is your money gonna multiply if you're literally predicting that the dollar is gonna fail? Can somebody please explain to me that logic? PB Shake said that was tough. What was tough to hear? Yeah, Contra. Up, down, left, right, BA start. Here's the thing that most folks don't realize. You might not win. The thing that most folks don't want to acknowledge and don't want to come to the realization about is you could do everything right in your lifespan and still not win. Because what you're doing in your lifespan may just be one cog in the machine that makes your great grandchild win. Nobody ever thinks about that. But because we're so selfish, we feel like if we can't win in our lifetime, why even do it? And this is the reason why for Black people, with each generation, you always have to start over. Each generation always has to get it out of the mud. You look at somebody like a Jay-Z or Jeff Bezos. Why are they going so hard in the paint? Why are they collecting money the way they're doing? Why are they doing this and doing that? Because they are trying to guarantee that their descendants win. They are trying to put themselves at a level so high that their children and children's children have such a large margin of error that they could be fuck ups their whole lives and still not lose the generational wealth. See, Randy said black folks claim woke and in a coma. Yep. Nipsey Hussle said it best when he said it's a marathon. As bad as I want to win, as much as I want to be massively successful, I'm smart enough to know that I may not win the way I want to win. I might just be the first stepping stone. But I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Because Rome wasn't built in a day. See, that's what's different about men today. That's what's different. See, men today are not useful at all. Men today do not have it in them to be a smaller part of a larger thing. See, men today, they want to be the larger thing. And what's worse is they want to be the larger thing without putting in any of the work. This is why it's so difficult for us to create anything of any value. We can't create institutions. Hell, I couldn't even create a channel because every time I've tried to create some sort of conglomerate, I am met with the same problem. I'm always encountering useless men. See, you can't build an empire with the men of today. You can't do it. It's impossible. That's why last night when the dude was saying, should we start our own government and start our own, nigga, you ain't about to start shit. You niggas can't even start a fucking hot dog stand without arguing with each other. And like I said before, brothers, I hate to tell you this, but that's how white men have you beat. That's how they have you beat. You think Trump is fighting this hard for himself? Do you really think that? Do you think Joe Biden is fighting this hard for himself? Is that what you think? Because if that's what you think, you're not even in the game. You're not even a participant. You're a nigga that's sitting on the bleachers staring at your fucking phone while the world passes you by. You don't even understand the world you live in. When Leonidas marched off to face the Persians and the Persian Empire with his 300 Spartans, what you don't know about the Spartans is they used to be slaves. And they finally got their freedom. Because they never wanted to be slaves again, they shaped their culture in a certain way, where from birth, they would eliminate anything weak from their society. And from a child up, they trained the men to be soldiers because they never wanted to be slaves again. So when Leonidas marched off to face the Persian Empire, he knew he wasn't coming home. The 300 Spartans that volunteered to go, they knew they weren't coming home. But they still knew they had to do it. Because if they did not do that, the alternative was enslavement. The men of today, as much as we talk about how men are always sacrificed, it's a ridiculous discussion in this day and age because you men have sacrificed nothing. There's some of you that don't even want to have children out of fear of child support. There's some of you that won't even get married. You don't even want to have families because you're terrified that you're going to get screwed over in the deal. And I hate to tell you, as much as your arguments may be legitimate, the bottom line is this: you will never build an empire with that mentality. You'll never build an empire with that mentality. I look around at the world the way it is, this hatred for men, the way we no longer revere men, the way we treat men, this foolishness that's going on. Every day that I do this show, I know that this is my life's work. I know it's my life's work. And guess what? I know that the change that I would like to see may not happen right now. May not happen in 50 years. May not happen in 100 years. But I'm still going to contribute. I'm still going to play my part. Because I know it matters. Why do I know it matters? I know it matters is because from time to time, when I'm on this show, I will quote Socrates. I will quote Plato. I will quote James Baldwin. I will quote countless men who are no longer here, who have been gone so long that their bones aren't even dust. Their bones, the dust of their bones don't even exist anymore. But their impact on the world is still felt. Their words are still felt. Their presence is still felt. See, there's only a handful of us men today that have that mentality that's like, okay, you know what? I might not be able to win the way I want to win, but if I put in this work, generations later, they will win. See, the rest of you are too busy jerking off. The rest of you are too busy arguing about silly shit. The rest of you are too busy trying to prove that you can live your life the way you want to live it. Makes me sad to see what men are today. Makes me sad. But the same way that Perseus at the end of Troy said, when you remember me, remember that I walked with giants. Remember that I lived in the time of Achilles. We don't have those times where we go to war and all of those different things. Nowadays, the war is an intellectual war. Right?
My brother. Find peace. My brother. If they ever tell my story, let them say I walked with giants. Men rise and fall like the winter wheat, but these names will never die. Let them say I lived in the time of Hector, tamer of horses. Let them say I lived in the time of Achilles.
That's real shit right there. That's real shit right there. That is what your legacy as a man is supposed to be. He said men rise and fall like the winter wheat, but these names will never be forgotten. They tell my story. Let them say that I walked with giants. I can say the same thing. Let them say that I came up in a time that refused to allow masculinity to die. Let them say that I came up and rose in a time of rebellion. That I walked with giants, that I spoke with giants. I existed in the times of Tommy Sotomayor, Kevin Samuels, Anton Daniels, Coach Greg Adams, names that will never be forgotten. May not seem important now. Alan Roger Curry, David Carroll, may not seem important now, but in 100 years, who knows? $200, who knows? 300 years. Think about that sometime. I think about who'll be reading my book 100 years from now. I think about how individuals like myself will be remembered. And keep in mind, it doesn't matter if we agreed with each other, doesn't matter if we went to war with each other. Because Hector fought against Achilles. What matters is that we spoke up when no one else would. What matters is that we gave pushback when others wouldn't. What matters is that we carved out a place in the society and made an impact on the world and the culture. That much is undeniable. Problem with a lot of individuals is they don't understand the weight of their actions, the weight of their words. Shout out to Damien. He said, I was blind, but now I see. Thank you, AM. Respect. Shout out to Malcolm. He said, keep up the hard work, AM. Shout out to KMO. He said, checking in, older brother. keep cooking these fools. Appreciate you, fam.
$50 boss up. Stack up and match up.
Shout out to Robert. Robert said, AM, you're a legend and you help me strive every day and not to ever give up. Appreciate you, bro. And by the way, to all of you fellas, when Kevin passed away, Kevin made a big enough impact to where everybody will remember him. But there are other individuals that made an impact and they don't get remembered like that. It is the responsibility of you fellas to make sure that their names are remembered as well. Two names that come to mind is Alan Roger Curry and David Carroll. Make sure they are remembered. Because at the end of the day, all we got is us. To me, that is the worst. To me, that is a worse fate than hell for any man. Is to be lost to history, to be forgotten. In all honesty, that is the greatest gift any man can ever receive. Is to live a life, full life, where you've impacted society in a way that they never forget you. That's why I keep chopping away, day in and day out. I remember Tupac made a statement, and it was one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard in my life. Tupac said, if I remember correctly, see if I can find the clip. When I heard him say this, I was like, cats don't even know what we lost in Tupac.
So I don't fit in. That's hell. It's hell when you can't be around your peers. All my life I grew up around black people, poor people, but I can't live around poor people now because they'll rob me. And why would they rob me? Because they're starving, because there's no money here. But they're telling me, now that I made a little money, I have to move here. So it's not like no one's ever trying to deal with this section. They're just moving away from it. And we're going to have more stars coming from the ghetto, but they're gonna all move this way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be another I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how.
You got to rewind that back.
Achievement awards. You know what I'm saying? 50 years old at a BET, we shall be 50 years old at a BET, we shall overcome achievement awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
Let me tell you something about Tupac. He literally was saying what I just got through saying verbatim, and I haven't seen that interview in a while. That was a man. And there's a lot of people that's going to disagree with me, but let me ask you a question. How old was he when he passed away? How old was that man when he passed away? $25. He was 25 years old. I'm telling you, that was a man, and we never got the opportunity to witness him as a fully realized man. 40-year-old Tupac would have been different. And when I say different, I don't mean different from him at 25. I mean different in the sense of how men operate and move. 40-year-old Tupac would have been a powerful man. But that's exactly how I feel. He literally illustrated how I feel. When I get up here to talk, I make for certain that what comes out of my mouth is the truth. I want impact every time I say something, every time I drop some knowledge, every time I have a conversation. I want somebody to be like, oh shit, damn, I never thought of it that way. I don't ever want to talk just to talk. I want every word that I say to have some sort of impact, to create some sort of catalyst, to cause some type of change. And look, I ain't gonna lie, I know I'm against the 8-ball. I know I'm against the grain. A lot of the things I talk about are contrary to what our culture believes. But why would I be speaking like the culture if the culture's going to shit? Why would I go with the grain if the grain, if going with the grain leads us to bullshit, leads us to destruction? Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I say what's really on my mind if I know what's on my mind is righteous? And just like he said, I may not change the world, but I guarantee you something that I say will spark the mind that changes the world. And that's how we got to view it. That's how we got to view it. As men, that's how we got to view it. Now, we had a little over 1,000 people in here, right? We had a little over 1,000 people in here. The moment I started talking like this, look at how many people just drifted away. That just shows you where we're at. That shows you a sign of the times. But it's cool because I don't expect everybody to get it. I don't expect everybody to understand. It's the curse of knowledge. See, sometimes you might have a particular type of knowledge. The type of knowledge where you have foresight. You can see things further down the road than most people. And the reason why I say it's a curse is because when you can see something further down the road than most people are going to think you're crazy. And they're going to tell you don't know what you're talking about. But as a man, you have to have enough confidence in yourself and enough sheer willpower to push forward because you know. When I was younger, I didn't have shit. And I didn't have any prospects of shit. And I didn't have any opportunities, but I knew I was going to be successful. I didn't know how. This is before the internet. This is before the technology that we have that I've been able to utilize to my advantage. I didn't know how I was going to be successful. But I knew I was going to be successful. I didn't know how I was going to make an impact on the world, but I knew I was going to make an impact. I didn't think that I would get to a place where I would get recognized by strangers. I didn't think that. I didn't account for that. I went to take my son to the mall to get him a watch for graduation. And I went into Lids, and the lady that works there, she might be watching right now. I went into Lids and I was looking at the hats, and there was a new hat that comes out that they were dropping today. And she said, I can't put it out on the floor, but I'll show you what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I said, ooh, that shit is fly, right? And she's like, well, tell me your size and I'll put it aside for you. I was supposed to go get it today, but I forgot about it. I'll probably go tomorrow. But the reason why she did that is because when I went into the shop, she was like, oh, snap, what's going on, Angryman? I watch your show all the time. Like, I never accounted for that. I never accounted for that. There's a lot of places I go now where people spot me. And it's part of the reason why you've probably noticed a shift in my content, a shift in the way that I talk. And the reason why is because now I'm more mindful of the fact that there are countless people watching me. Countless people that have an expectation of me. So I can't just get up here and just say any fucking thing. I can't just get up here and say some dumb shit. I have to be mindful of my ability to influence. So I can't get up here and constantly fuel the fire of division between men and women. I can't get up here and be a fucking stereotype. People are watching me, hanging on every word. And there's a responsibility there. Some people don't give a shit. No matter how many eyeballs are watching them, they're going to perform like a clown in the circus. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, shout out to D-Prez. Appreciate you. Anyway, I'm about to get up out of here. I appreciate everybody that tuned into the show. Shout out to all of the people that contributed to the show. Shout out to the sponsors. As I said yesterday, which I'm going to say more often, I know the difficult economic times that we live in, and you could spend your money anywhere, but you decided to spend it with me. So I definitely appreciate every last one of you guys that contribute to the show. Shout out to High Tolerance. He said, only person I can recall to have an impact on the culture since Pac was Nip. OAN, I think men have regressed since KS passing. I feel we're in a place where we have to fend for us and the same BW that despise us. Appreciate you, bro. But like I said, I appreciate every last one of you guys for contributing to the show. Salute to everybody that consistently contribute. I definitely appreciate you. Shout out to the people that sponsored the show. If you have not went to check out my book, it is available on Amazon. All you have to do is go to Amazon. You can type the Angryman Standard in the search bar. It will come up. Or you can click the link down in the description. Make sure you go check it out. But other than that, salute to everybody. Shout out to the whole BINO Nation. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.
Spartans! What is your profession?